All right, so that's not an intro.
I like the little clap you did
This,
there.
yeah, I don't know why I clap my hands. I need to not do that. Also, my cat is having a aneurysm. Apparently, she will not stop screaming. So, this is the Who Needs It podcast, episode 2. Quick apology to the listeners. I did not know I was beatboxing directly into the mic while sounding like I was sipping on lean. I genuinely apologize about my audio. I will try to do better in the future. My co-host is Dalton. I'll let him introduce himself.
Hi, I'm Dalton.
You might know him from the previous episode.
Yeah, if you watch the previous one.
I mean, it's the world's most popular podcast. I don't know why they
We have 6 whole views, and only half of those views are our girlfriends. So
I know, that's crazy.
one of them is our dog. So
well, I mean, that's our most valued listener.
Yeah.
That's
Also,
our
your
target
name.
demographic.
Yeah. Also, your name is Harris, and he is Bosnian. Also, back to my dog, or not my dog. It's not my dog. She'll yell at me if I say it's my dog because she does everything with it because it's technically her dog. But I like to claim him when he's nice. She literally played him the podcast when he was napping, so he had like background noise, and he could hear my voice. And I'm like, that's kind of adorable, but also sorry, bud, you had to listen to this for an hour.
That is adorable, but shall we just get into it?
Yeah. Do you want to start with? So we had 2 homework things last week. Was it North of the Border? Is it just called North of the Border? Is there anything else to him?
Yeah, I believe their channel is called North
Yeah,
of the
just
Border.
North of the Border, and then the Clever Girl album. Oh my God, I forgot the name of it. No drum and bass in the jazz room. So we both listened, or I guess watched one of them and listened to the other, and then we're going to report back on what we thought. So I don't know who wants to go first.
Yeah, I'll start because I listened to it directly after we stopped recording.
Fair.
I listened to the Clever Girl album. It was surprisingly easy to listen to.
Yeah.
It went by real quick. It's like fantastic for background noise. I just did an art study afterwards, and I just listened to the whole album, and then when it was over, I was like, oh, that went by way quicker than I thought it would.
Yeah, I think it's like 20 minutes or something like that, and it's like, that's pretty much just like, I'm in grad school, so like, if I want to work on stuff, I don't really want to listen to music with lyrics, because then I feel like I get distracted by the lyrics, so I just listen to like math rock, and that's like the best album, and it's like, yeah, it's 20 minutes long, but I don't know if you like, there's 4 songs in it. Do you remember a song, or like which one you liked the most, or if you just listen to it all and you're like, that was nice?
I listened to it all, and I just kind of took it all as one ever-changing song, if that makes sense.
It kind of is like that. I could see that.
I feel it's one of those things you should just take in totality, where, you know, if other kinds of music is scenes from, if you take one song from an album, it's like a scene from a movie, and you're just listening to that one scene. This is one of those films that you need to watch the whole film of. When you watch it, you shouldn't just watch a scene from that film. You should just watch the whole film because it's really quick.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for something to cook or to clean to without lyrics or to study to, I would recommend that album.
Yeah.
It's not difficult to listen to.
Yeah, and it's, I was gonna say something. I had a whole spiel I was gonna say, and then okay, I remember now. Don't worry, everything's fine. I'm always bad about listening to albums. I always just like listen to like songs off of albums and just like don't listen to the whole album. And ever since I listened to that, I'm like, man, I should just listen to full albums throughout, because like the transitions between songs, you're like, oh, that's kind of neat. Like, I think you miss out on that if you just like listen to individual songs. So this album gave me appreciation to like listen to full albums instead of just listening to individual songs and like random orders, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Cool. Well, I'm glad you liked it, and I guess we'll get to North of the Border. So he's like a crafting YouTube channel where he kind of makes like I would say more like dioramas than anything else. And I think, what was it? I made a shark, but it's also a dinosaur, or also a dragon. Was that the name of it exactly? Because he always names his videos kind of weird.
Yes.
So I've seen a couple of this guy's stuff before. I think he did like a Warhammer Space Marine, and then he's done a couple Pokemon ones. So I've watched it before. I thought the dragon thing was neat. I did have a critique. I feel like those dragon wings on that shark should have been beefier. It should have been jacked wings. Like, it should have had fucking biceps on that wings. They should have been jacked. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
I kind of see what you're saying, because how would it fly with those
like dainty little
tiny
fucking wings? Yeah.
But also, we're critiquing a fantasy creature, so...
Yeah, it does not exist. And also, it was like really well done. I could never ever do anything close to ever looking like that.
Yeah, it's one of those channels that I love watching, but then immediately afterwards want to make something and realize I do not have the technical skill to make that. So I just go, why am I like this? You can't do this. Stop doing this.
Do you ever like watch one of those videos and then you just get sad because you know you'll never be good enough at building something like that or painting something like that, and you're like, I'm just not gonna do any of that ever again because I'm not gonna never be as good as this? Or is that just me?
Absolutely. Every single time.
Yeah, every single time. But no, I liked his videos. I think so. My girlfriend watches some of his stuff too, and she thinks he makes really bad jokes that aren't funny and kind of detract from the actual crafting. I could see that. I don't know how you feel about it, but some of his comments are like, okay, man, just keep painting the shark. You know what I mean? But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if he has a TikTok that he's like trying to make this content for, so when he splices it up, those jokes go into the TikTok, so it's just like joke after joke after joke.
Oh yeah, like some sort of like YouTube short thing or something.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't use TikTok.
Same.
And I don't use YouTube shorts.
Fair.
Not like I hate those things, just I have enough things going on. I don't need to get lost in those worlds right now. Not that I'm saying I'll never get into TikTok or whatever, but
yeah, you just end up scrolling for like 50 years. That's the danger of that.
Yeah, I don't want to just like open TikTok and then realize I'm a fossil, you know?
Fair. Yeah. Another thing with his stuff before we move on is like sometimes I want to sit down and like look up like each bit of material he's using and see how much like building those dioramas cost. Because sometimes I'm sitting there and I'm like, man, this thing's probably pretty expensive to put together. I don't know how much like all that clay is that he uses, but then like all the different types of paint that he has, and then if he uses any sort of like epoxy or that green stuff, you know what I'm talking about? The like, it's almost like
the moss grass.
Yeah. Well, the green stuff is like, it's like an epoxy, like 2-part epoxy you build together that you can like mold stuff and it like hardens. But like, dude, some of these some of these dioramas he makes, it's probably like fucking $60 of just materials to look at, like to build the thing. So, kind of crazy.
Yeah, I'd be interested in if he did price breakdowns of like, I use this much resin, so it cost me X amount of dollars, or I went outside and took a branch and I put that in my kit. Diorama, thank you.
Some of the fucking things he makes too are like, I'm not a big fan of like gore doesn't bother me, but like gross gore, like he has like the ones where like the Teletubbies have like their intestines falling out and shit, and I'm like, maybe that's just not for me. So he does a lot of that stuff too, and then he'll do like Pokemon. So I'm like, what is his demographic here?
He's aiming wide. He's just, someone's gonna watch this.
Yeah.
Which I guess both you and I do occasionally watch his videos, so
yeah, for
he's
sure.
got something going for him.
Apparently.
I think if you're looking for a channel that is more, I guess, family friendly, I would say, Studston Studios.
Gotcha.
I hope I pronounced that correctly.
Yeah, we can put it, if you find it, we can put it in the description or something.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, so homework is
Yeah,
done.
homework
We can
successful.
move into homework successful. We can move into our first topic. I've been watching this anime series.
Oh boy.
First, I will preface it by saying I was recommended a series. I'm going to pull up the name real quick. The series I was recommended is Dororo Doro.
Okay. So
That's the
it's
series I was recommended.
it's an anime because it has a Japanese name that people haven't even bothered to translate into English. You know what I'm trying to say? Like
Yes.
My Hero Academia is like no Boko Hero Des or some shit. But this one is like not even translated to English, so it's deep in the weeds of anime.
It sure is, but I was scrolling through to find something to watch, and the show appeared, and I was like, I was recommended this by one of my coworkers. Fantastic. I started it. I watched the first episode fully through, and the entire time I'm watching this, I'm thinking to myself, this is not what was described to me. This is not what I was expecting from this series that I thought was going to be much, much goofier. But I finished the first episode, and then I did a quick Google search, and it is not the series I was recommended. I watched Dororo, and not Dorohedoro.
Oh, of course. Wait, so okay, first explain what you were supposed to watch first, and then
I was supposed to watch a show that is about a man with a lizard head,
okay,
and a buff lady, and some weird demon-looking people, and there's a face or a head inside the demon man's throat that can speak, and the lizard man isn't supposed to be a lizard, but my coworker recommended it to me, and I've taken a few of her recommendations, so I thought, yeah, I'll watch this. I click on the wrong show, and I proceed to watch the first episode. Then I question it, Google it. Turns out, not the show, obviously. From the same studio. It's made by Studio Mappa. They're known for Jujutsu Kaisen. They've done work on Attack on Titan. They did Chainsaw Man, Kakegurui, God of High School, Dorohedoro, Dororo. They've done Yuri on Ice. So they're quite a prolific studio. Yeah. Their work is fantastic. Their treatment of their workers, not on the level, but
I mean, what companies
that's a different discussion for a different day. But I watched the first episode of Dororo and was pleasantly surprised. Going into it, if you were thinking about watching...
Wait, hold on. Sorry. Was the one that you accidentally watched the one that you were pleasantly surprised about, or the one that you didn't mean to watch? Or like...
The one I didn't mean to watch is the one that I ended up watching. I have not yet watched anything of Dorohedoro.
Okay. So you're recommending the anime that you didn't get recommended, but you accidentally watched.
Yes. So,
okay.
To preface this, I knew almost nothing about this show. Obviously, because I clicked on the wrong show.
Yeah.
I watched the first episode. If you're thinking about getting into it, it is not a kind show. It is kind of brutal in that this, not great guy who has a child on the way makes a deal with these demons to be successful. It takes place in feudal Japan. It gives off kind of Inuyasha vibes, if you've seen that.
Parts of it.
Yeah, so it's like feudal Japan, but demons do exist. Like, they are out in the world.
Is this just Demon Slayer Part 2? Did you accidentally watch Demon Slayer?
It's like Demon Slayer, but oops, good, you know?
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, you're also a Demon Slayer hater? Hey, look at us.
Okay, I feel we can talk about Demon Slayer right after this.
Yeah, I got you.
I don't want people to just assume, oh, we both hate it out and out. It does some good things, but we can talk about that in a little bit.
Continue with the Dororo.
Yes. So the guy makes a deal with some demons and is like, yeah, you can have my firstborn or whatever. As his wife is in labor, the baby comes out. It does not have eyes. It does not have limbs. It doesn't have skin. And the show does not hesitate to show you this skinless fetus. And the mother is like, I'll take care of this. Like, this is my child. And the delivery of the child was like not great, and I cannot think of the word of the person that helps assist the baby being made, but isn't a doctor.
Wait, being made or birthed? Because the one being made
Birthed,
is the father. The one helping is called a doula.
Yes, the doula is like, I'm just gonna, I don't know, this thing probably shouldn't exist. And then the dad comes in and is like, yeah, that's not okay. So let's just throw it outside. So the doula takes it to dispose of it. And she sees that the baby is trying to breathe. And she kind of feels bad for it. So she's like, well, I'll just put you in a basket and float you down the river instead of, drowning you in it. So she puts it in a basket, and then as she lets it float down the river, a demon just kills her immediately.
Okay.
Then
that's nice.
Karma. We love to see it. Then a blind monk shows up and kills the demon and sees that there's a child. And so the way the blind monk sees is he sees auras of
So he's Daredevil?
living. Yeah, he's Daredevil, but he's not like a dolphin. He's Daredevil, but with people's moods, their vibe, if you will.
Yeah. I'm just imagining Daredevil as a dolphin. Just he's just instead of Daredevil, he's Dolphin Man just on land, and he's just dying because he needs to be in water.
Yeah.
That's how I'm picturing this monk now.
When are we making this series? Because it sounds like
great.
It's printing money.
Yeah, for sure.
So the monk kills the demon, pretty much saves the baby, but just lets the baby float away, which is a choice.
Can he see the baby? Does the baby have an aura?
Yeah, the baby has an aura, and he's like,
okay,
well, you don't have an evil aura, so I guess I'll just let you be. He doesn't know that the baby doesn't have eyes, ears, or skin, or limbs.
Fair.
And the baby is found by somebody else. They have a whole insane backstory. The baby grows up to, I'm presuming, teenage age. The family that got rid of him, the warlord guy, ended up having a child about a year later. And that child is a quote-unquote a normal child, whereas the other one grew up with somebody else.
Okay, 1 second. Does the demon no-eyed baby, does he have skin and limbs now, or is he just just a ball of flesh as a teenager?
So he doesn't have a face when you see him later on. He doesn't have limbs. He has prosthetics.
Gotcha.
He does have some skin. He doesn't have eyes or working ears. He has the flesh of ears, but not ears. So what happens is the person that raises him trains him to kill demons. And he doesn't have limbs, so he has prosthetics, but his prosthetics will come off to just be swords. So he has wooden puppet hands, but he can take them off and just have sword limbs.
Gotcha.
It's a cool design. When you first see him, he saves a child from falling into the river, and he just saves the kid, puts it down, walks away, and the mother's like, make sure to thank him, and he's like, oh yeah, thanks him, and then asks his mom if it's like around Halloween, I guess, whatever the equivalent to Halloween would be around that time, and she says no. Why are you asking? And he says, oh, because that guy's wearing a mask. And that's when the show reveals to you that he still doesn't have like a face or eyes or anything. He's just wearing like a porcelain doll mask as his face.
Jesus Christ.
And as he... Yeah, no, this show's pretty brutal. As he kills demons, he gets more of his body back. So...
Oh. That's interesting.
A bit of a spoiler. As he kills... like, you are assuming he's going to get pretty far. They're not just going to be like, well, he had no eyes, so he's dead now. As he kills a demon, he gets his hearing back, and that just ruins him because he's never had the ability to hear before. So he's just like constantly in pain from any single noise.
Gotcha.
So I thought that was a really...
first episode?
This is the first, I think, 7 episodes.
Okay, I was like, Jesus, this is a jam-packed first episode.
No, like, up to the monk is the first episode.
Gotcha. So yeah, I could also see how you could get the other anime with like a lizard man with a demon in his throat or whatever confused as this one, because I'm like, oh yeah, this kind of seems a little bit similar. It wasn't like one's a children's anime and the other one's a dark anime. They're both kind of dark anime, so it makes sense you didn't realize that you were watching the wrong one until after.
Yeah, and it's definitely a show I'm gonna finish and then move on to the other show. I'm really enjoying this. It gives Inuyasha vibes, and it also gives a similar feel to the game Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice, because of all the prosthetics and the demons. It's really enjoyable. It is kind of brutal in its emotional moments. Like, the mother doesn't want to see her child disposed of, even though it doesn't have skin or eyes. She just wants to raise the child. And the dad's like, no, we're, post-birth abortioning this thing.
Makes sense. Okay, I'm looking at some of the pictures for this, and it does look a little dark. I see a man with one arm with a sword.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You meet the titular character, Dororo, the show is based after, on like episode 2 or 3. They're a small child that is, quite frankly, annoying. If you're not okay with little annoying shits, this show is not for you.
Fair. So the main character's name isn't Dororo?
No, they introduce the main character's name later on.
Gotcha.
But it is it's named after the small child character, which I don't see their importance yet. They're also an orphan, so I don't know how that will play in if the show is named after them, but I'm assuming it's going to come up later on. The other thing is, this was a manga originally, started by the famous mangaka Osamu Tezuka. If you know, like, Osamu Tezuka made Astro Boy. Let me just make sure that I got that correct, because I don't want to look extra stupid. But
I think I always get Astro Boy confused with, isn't there like some sort of android? Is that the android one, or is that a different anime? Is Astro Boy an android?
Yes, he's kind of like a little Mega Man.
Yeah, I think I've seen parts of that, because that's a show too, right?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So Osamu Tezuka is pretty prolific. In the manga world, he's had a lot of stuff made into other television series. So Dororo first started for Shogakukan's Weekly Shonen Sunday on August 1967. Is
God
when
damn.
it first. Yeah. And so if you look at pages from this manga, it does not look like regular manga of today. You can tell that it was one of the progenitors to other manga existing. It was kind of, if you look up Astro Boy, it does look like Astro Boy. It is a old looking, everyone has very, Mickey Mouse-esque features.
Yeah.
In the original.
And did you say that this Dororo has been around since then, or he's been doing stuff since then?
He's been doing stuff, I believe, since before then. This is a redo of his series. I don't know if there was another anime series or film made of this, but it is a redo of at least the basic series.
Gotcha. Because I was gonna say this anime looks like it's from like 2019. If they just made an anime from this like manga that's been around since the 60s, it's kind of crazy that they waited 50 years before they started making it. And also, they only made one season of this.
Yes. So from what I've looked into, there has only been it only ran for about it ran from 67 to 68. So that was just about a year.
Gotcha.
And then they made this series in 2019. I don't know if there are other series that exists, but I'm not sure what, led to them remaking it. But from what I've seen, I'm really enjoying it. It doesn't do a lot of anime tropes, which is a big deal for me.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a lot of oops, I fell and touched your boob kind of dumb bullshit.
Yeah. Well, it looks like I looked, and apparently there was an anime TV series for the show in 1969, as well as in 2019. There was a video game in 2004, a live-action film in 2007, and the manga apparently returned in 2018. It was called The Legends of Dororo and Hakimaru.
Yeah, Hakimaru is the name of the main character.
Yeah, so it almost looks like, what is it? That's almost like 50 years on the date. So I wonder if they did something. It was like, the 50-year anniversary of the original series. We're gonna do a remaster. So maybe they didn't plan to have a long series, but who knows? But yeah, 1969, they had 26 episodes. Crazy. And now there's going to be a 24 episode. Oh, yeah. So the first season is 24 episodes. So, yeah, about the same. It's so weird that they would bring that back.
Yeah, I'm not sure what would spur them on to do that, but I'm really enjoying the series. I'm, I think, only 10 episodes into it. So I'm excited to finish it. I'll give updates on the series as it goes. Moving on to the next topic.
Oh, I was going to say one more thing. You should try to find the 2004 PlayStation 2 game of it and play it after you after you watch the anime.
Yeah, let me just whip out the old PS2.
Yeah, of course.
Let me find a game that was probably only released in Japan.
Yeah, because there's no way you could pirate this online with some sort of PlayStation 2 emulator and just download the game, because that's illegal, and you wouldn't steal a car online.
You wouldn't steal a car, would you?
Would you? Would you steal a PlayStation 2 to play a game from 2004 that you'll never probably be able to play unless you stole it? No, never. That's illegal, and you'll go to jail, especially you, because you're a foreigner.
Yeah, you listening to this.
Oh, yeah, that's what I meant. Not you specifically.
Yeah, not me specifically.
Yeah. All right. Sorry I ruined your great segue. I'm sorry I made you crash your segue. Segway is a thing anymore.
I don't know.
I've never seen a segue for a while. That's true. Dude, those things catch on fire. Did I ever tell you about the time I saw one catch on fire?
No, you did not. Please enlighten me
So
and the audience.
Yeah, there was a electric skateboard. I assume that those aren't hoverboards, but they're like kind of the same. And I don't know. You weren't in. When you were in college? Were the people riding those yet, or was that like before then?
You're making me sound like a old
man.
Say,
dude, when I was in
in
undergrad, I didn't see it as much as now that I'm in grad school. You see them all the goddamn time. Anyways, no. Long story short, I just saw a kid. Something was on fire in the grass beside him, and he just like had his hands on his head, and he was like freaking out. And I walked closer, and it was his skateboard caught on fire. And then the fire department had to show up, and that's pretty much the end of the story. But it was just, I don't know. My normal skateboard doesn't catch on fire. If I hit a pebble, I die. Besides that, my skateboard's better.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not lighting up your skateboard, are you even trying?
If you're not going fast enough that your skateboard catches on fire, are you really even shredding, man?
Yeah, you gotta shred to death, bro.
Exactly. All right, what were you trying to transition into? I completely derailed this.
I don't know how I was gonna try to transition to the Pokemon TCG.
Oh, yeah.
Your topic, but I don't know. Insert insane transition here.
Okay, cool. Well, it's more of this is a brainstorming thing. So I don't have friends. You're my only friend I have, more or less. And you don't live in my hometown. Or not my hometown. I don't live here. This is not my hometown. The place I live, you do not live. And I don't want to go to... That's fair. I don't want to go to a comic book store to play the Pokemon trading card game. Because last time I went, it was children and a mentally handicapped man. So I don't want to go back, mostly because of the children.
Yeah, children are wild.
Yeah, so I was gonna force
Especially
my girlfriend.
when it comes to trading card games.
Dude, they'll just walk up to people and be like, "I want this card you have," and the guy's just like, "It's like, what do you do? Do you not? Do you tell a 12 or like an 8-year-old, no, you can't have my Pokemon card?" It's like, I'm almost fucking 30. I gotta give this child this Pokemon card, regardless if I want to do that or not, because he's 8. Am I gonna be that guy? His dad's standing behind the kid, is like, "Oh, maybe you can give him something to trade." He's like, "No, I just want the card." And he's like, "Oh, okay, here's this fucking $20 card I bought, but good luck, child." It's just like those fucking, do you know what we need to take down a peg? Children. You know what I mean? Every baseball game, they just assume they're going to get the baseball if it's a home run. No, I'm an adult. I want to catch a baseball at a baseball game, all right? Go fuck yourself, children. Same thing. Hockey games, hockey puck comes over and I catch it. A child's not getting it. I'm taking it home because I'm an adult and I like things. So yeah, the Pokemon trading card game. I don't have friends. Probably due to the rant that I just did. So I was going to force my girlfriend into learning the game. I mentioned this to her the other day, and she did not seem stoked about it. So this was a platform I was going to use to find ways to gaslight her into wanting to play the Pokemon trading card game. So, I don't know. I was thinking about doing it instead of like, normally it's like 60 card decks. I was thinking we would do it like how we did those pre-release events where you do like those 40 card decks. So,
yeah.
And then not using EXs or V-Star Pokemon, but just using basics, and then just like figuring it out that way. But I don't know. What do you think? I'll cut that. I won't say your girlfriend's name. I apologize.
Sounds good.
Your girlfriend. Your girlfriend, she already liked Pokemon before, like, you guys got together, so it wasn't a difficult thing to get her to the trading card game. How do I approach this?
It wasn't a difficult thing to get her into the Pokemon TCG. It might have been a mistake because we have so many Pokemon cards.
That is fair. I mean, my girlfriend's, I don't think has ever watched any Pokemon. She does it. She knows Pikachu, and I showed her Bulbasaur yesterday.
Oh yeah,
that's
Bulbasaur's peak though.
Well, Bulbasaur is number 1 in the Pokédex, so I wanted to show her. My idea was like, man, if I show her Pokemon a day for 2 years, then she'll know all the Pokemon. But no, I don't know. I was just trying to think of ways. How would you get someone into that? You know what I mean? Like, how do you get someone into a Pokemon trading card game that's never had experience in it before?
So first, to any listeners, if you have any suggestions, please leave them in the comments. Then, as someone who has done this, I mean, I got you into the Pokemon TCG.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's kind of just a introduce them. It helped that you and my girlfriend both were into Pokemon in general. I mean, at different levels. Like, you're obviously not a huge Pokemon fan, but you have some interest in it. You know, if a cool game comes out, you'll, at least look at it and decide to buy it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I played every single, like... I haven't played Legends of Arceus or anything, or, like, the Pokemon Rangers game, but I played every game from, like, Red all the way to Scarlet and Violet, so...
So you
like
played
the
all the
mainline
mainline
games.
ones?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think first getting her interested in an aspect of Pokemon, a great thing that is, in the Pokemon existence, is you don't have to like how the games play to like Pokemon. You can like them for the TV series or the films or the manga, which apparently gets insane depending on which manga it is. Some people are just into the designs of the Pokemon. Some people are into playing the games with challenges or shiny hunting or XYZ. So if you can get her into an aspect of the Pokemon world, I think it'll be easy to get her into the game. But if she doesn't really have interest in the game, it might be easier to get her interested in a different game with different mechanics. If she tries other, it's hard to recommend a TCG to someone if they're not looking for a TCG or interested in the actual franchise that it's based on. So if
1 second, my sister keeps calling me. I might have to pause for a second.
Everything all right?
Yeah, my niece's beta fish is dying, and my sister was asking how to make it not die.
Oh.
Yeah. Oof. So, oops. Anyways, Pokemon, where were we?
Seeing if she'd be interested in TCGs just in general.
Yeah.
That's hard because Pokemon is such a relatively easy one to get people into.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like I just kind of want to play. I just kind of want to play one of those games, like sometimes, because I usually only ever play it whenever I see you. But it's it'd be nice to play it randomly, and I feel like out of all the games that we play, like the Digimon trading card game or Commander, I feel like Pokemon would be the easiest to understand. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the idea. I'm gonna try to get her into that, and I think I don't know. I feel like if I just teach it well, it'd be fine. If I teach the game better, then I won't mention, but we have a mutual acquaintance / friend who is very bad at explaining games to people and is almost patronizing about it. Do you know who I'm talking about?
I know exactly who you're talking about, but
exactly.
That person, I understand where that person is coming from, but they need to kind of meet people halfway.
Yeah. So I think as long as I explain it better than that person, I think it'll be fine. But no, I just want to play the trading card game.
I could transition into a topic.
Oh yeah, let's do it.
That involves a story about that person.
Okay, we could. We'll just never tell them that this podcast exists. Because I think they'll know exactly who we're talking about. Because we don't have.
Oh yeah, if I tell this story, if they don't know already, if I tell this story, they will know exactly who they are, and I would feel absolutely terrible. Yeah, but I also need this story out in the open.
Okay, I don't know. I'm not even sure what you're talking about, but yeah.
I am definitely the bad guy in this story. I just want that to be known.
Okay.
I am the problem in this story. Do you remember in college when us three, played a certain video game where we had every time you died, you took a drink.
Oh my god, dude, that was fucking torture. That sucked so bad.
Yes, do you remember why both of you got so upset with me?
I don't remember because I feel like I don't drink often, and he would just always like force us to not force us, but he would be like, "Oh, we should play a drinking game or something," and I don't know. We don't like confrontation, so we just agreed. So I don't really.
We were just like, whatever.
All I remember, so we were playing Dark Souls, right? I don't remember which one.
Yes, we were playing Dark Souls 1. I believe it was the remastered version.
And I don't know if we ever escaped the fucking prison at the beginning of it.
We made it to where the dragon is above the bridge. I remember that because we got to that point in the game and you two were screaming at me to lock onto enemies. And I said, no, I will play this game how I want to play this game.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. So, guess what I've been playing lately?
Oh, have you been playing Dark Souls or Elden Ring?
So, I've been playing Dark Souls 1 Remastered lately.
Why? Why would you do that to yourself?
I don't know. At this point, I think I have like a disease in my brain that just says, punish yourself, you absolute idiot.
Flog yourself.
Yeah, it's pretty soon that'll be what it is. I started with Elden Ring as my first actual attempt to play a FromSoft game. That's not true. I started with Sekiro, which is not a game you should start if you're trying to get into FromSoft games.
Fair.
Then when I went back, when Elden Ring came out, I played that. I said, I'm going to beat this game. However difficult it is, I am beating this game. I just need to see credits roll. I proceeded to bash my head against this game repeatedly, over and over and over again, to the point of hyper frustration. Like, I'm getting so mad, I don't know what to do with myself. Then I finally break down and go, I'm going to play this game with a guide. And that is when the game became enjoyable. That's when I understood, oh, this game is actually fun. If you play the game is asking you to play and not just trying to brute force it. But I cannot take full responsibility for being the idiot here. Because if you're going to make a game that you cannot play without a guide, that is on you as the people that make the game.
Yeah,
I understand it's like, oh, get good, yada, yada, yada. But there are things that if you miss giving someone a certain item, or you don't do an action in a certain spot, or you didn't exhaust dialogue with an NPC, you just don't get to further the game, and that sounds insane to me. Like, imagine if you went and you started a Pokemon game and you went up to Professor Oak and he goes, "Hi, I'm Professor Oak," and that was the end of the dialogue. Would that not drive you insane?
Yeah, because then you're like,
have to,
okay,
continuously talk to him.
Yeah, that's the last thing he says, so I'm gonna stop talking to him. But then you never get your Pokemon, and you're just like kind of walking around like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah, it's frustrating in that way, but once I broke down and just started using a guide, the game got way more enjoyable. It was still hard. It was so difficult, especially beating Melania, whatever her name is.
Melania Trump? You have to beat Melania Trump in Elden Ring?
Absolutely. Beating that character was so difficult.
Is it like mechanic wise, or like you need to have a certain gear level and you don't know what that is, so you go in underprepared, or like what is the guide giving you?
The guide gave me a build. That was the biggest thing the guide gave me. It was a build, because I said I'm gonna pick up this cool, Guts from Berserk sword and just mollywop people with it. I'm gonna hit them twice and they're gonna be dead, or I'm gonna be dead. That is not how you should play this game. If you want a specific type, a game type, you have to look up a build for it. Unless you've had so much experience with it, where you're like, yeah, I can build this, build from the top of my head. I had I put some stuff into certain attributes where it's like, I want strength, I want health, I want stamina. And then there's a section in the game that you get to where after you beat a certain boss, they let you respec your character. And after I beat them, I found a guide for a build I thought looked really interesting. And it was like a moon, like a knight assassin moon character where you had two different swords. No, you had one sword in one hand and a wand in the other, a staff in the other hand. And it had like certain abilities where you would shoot out like a small solar system and it would just like explode in small explosions. And if you hit the enemy with that, the majority of enemies in the game just get stun locked and you can just wail on them after that. And the wand would send an orb that would debuff the enemy. And that was my build. And after that, I vastly enjoyed the game much more after making that build. There is still some stuff where you have to look up, who to talk to at what time and what action to perform and what item not to use at X but to use at Y. It still has that, which is kind of frustrating. But after I beat Elden Ring, which was a slog, I went back to Sekiro because I had already owned it previously and I just bounced off of it. Knowing how FromSoft games wanted to be played, I played Sekiro, and it plays differently than Elden Ring. It plays in a way where your defense is also your offense, and your offense is also your defense. A lot of it is parrying, so you have to remember the rhythmic timing of how enemies perform attacks. It is kind of like a rhythm game without the scrolling bar. So the majority of things can be parried, and what can't be are grabs and certain attacks that have symbols that pop up that tell you cannot parry this, so either jump or step back or try to counter it. So those exist in the game, and once you understand that about enemies in the game, you can just proceed to mow people down if you get their timing down. It's not easy to do it, but once you get it, it feels very satisfying. My favorite people to fight in Sekiro are other human enemies that also have swords. So the Genichiro fight and the owl fight are so much fun because it feels like you're on parity with who you're fighting. It doesn't feel, there's no disconnect where a giant dragon's tail whips at me and I can parry that. There's kind of like a disconnect when that happens, where you're like, I guess my tiny little sword can parry this dragon's tail, but when you fight another human enemy and you parry them, it feels good, and when you counter them, it feels amazing. So the Genichiro fight it was so hard, but once I beat it, I felt kind of sad because I wanted more of those fights. It is when you get into the rhythm of the game, it is honestly, you can't put it down sometimes. And then other times, a certain enemy, you just can't get their rhythm, or you can't figure out what pattern or what item to use to help you beat them. And it just ruins your play experience. There are a few enemies that don't follow certain rules, and those are the worst part of the game. There is a specific monk character that does not follow the everything can be parried unless symbol occurs rule, and I hated that about that character. And they're one of those bosses you have to beat to proceed in the game. Once I got past that character, the game just got much better. I genuinely do not like I don't like when games set up rules and then don't tell you when it's breaking the rules. And FromSoft games do that a lot.
Is it just like, oh, like there's a normal flow to combat and this all of a sudden like breaks that flow? Is that what you mean by usually there's a button you press if they do this certain attack? Or
yeah, so the majority of things in Sekiro can be parried. So you play with like your finger on the parry button, ready to parry, and then your other finger over the trigger that attacks. It hovers above that. So you're following their rhythm with the parry, and then you're waiting for your turn to attack.
Gotcha.
Once it's your turn, you swing repeatedly, or you use your prosthetic, and you are waiting for your turn. And then once your turn comes, you have to figure out how many hits you get in before you have to go back on defense. Because if you continue to lay on the pressure, all of a sudden it's their turn now, and you're in an attack animation, and they're just gonna blow you out. Like, they're going to leave you a stain on the floor.
Have you ever thought about maybe just get good at the game instead,
Yes, the old get good strategy.
Yeah.
And then after beating Sekiro, I have the last boss, but I've gotten so close to beating them at the point where I was just like, this is gonna be an entire day project to beat this boss.
Jesus
and I've beaten
Christ.
Millennia. No, like, it's one of those ones where you show up and you're like, okay, the first 10 deaths are just a warm-up before I get into, okay, these are the runs where I actually have a chance to beat this boss.
Okay, fair. Yeah, I don't really... I think I've played Dark Souls 2? I think I beat Dark Souls 2, but that's it. I think I didn't do like half of the stuff you're supposed to do. I kind of just played it pretty linear and just kind of went in order, so I don't know if I should have backtracked and done some stuff, but I don't remember being awful. I just usually got pissed off about like the mobs, and it's almost like if you hadn't played it before, you like, oh, I'm gonna walk this way, and it's like, oh, there's 7 men around the corner ready to slice you in half, but if you walk this way, you don't get sliced in half. It's like, well, I didn't really know that was a thing because I've never played this before, so it's almost like you get set up for failure sometimes. But I mean, I don't think it was crazy bad. I'm trying to think. It's probably almost like 10 years ago that I played it, so.
Interesting. Yeah, I've went back to play Dark Souls 3, and it gave a lot of issues to me, where it's kind of obtuse in what it wanted from me. So I kind of took a break from it, and then I ended up getting hold of Dark Souls 1 Remastered, and I was like, well, let me check how it plays at least. And it plays, of the FromSoft games, surprise, the earliest one, plays like hot garbage. But yeah. I'm really enjoying the game for the most part. I still get frustrated at it, but I'm really enjoying it because the game is fairly linear. There isn't much where you have to, bark twice at the moon on the second Thursday of the month while in the fetal position. It's just go, kill enemy, unlock door, go to next enemy, kill enemy, unlock door. Oh, hey, look, there's a shortcut. Surprise. Now you don't have to walk through the entire thing again. You can just have this little shortcut. But I'm enjoying it so far. Other than that, that's my FromSoft, experience.
Yeah. I always heard that people really like Bloodborne a lot. I think it's just a PlayStation exclusive, though. I don't know if they've done a port to PC yet. I don't think they have.
They have.
I feel like that would be the only one I would really want to play, because I just feel like people always have really good, like, praise for it. I don't know if that's just people who like the FromSoft games. Like, I'm kind of a Dark Souls hater, if you will. My catchphrase for Dark Souls is that it's Call of Duty for people who think they're smart. Because every time the game gets released, it looks exactly the same. and it plays exactly the same, but you're like, oh no, dude, but there's new maps and new equipment and guns and stuff. It's totally different. That's how I view people who like Dark Souls games.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Sometimes, okay, maybe it's because I haven't played it very much, but like sometimes if I'm watching a video and I haven't looked at like if it's Dark Souls 1 or Dark Souls 2 or Dark Souls 3, I cannot tell from the gameplay which Dark Souls game it is. I'm like, this could be fucking any of them because they all look the same and play exactly the same. Maybe I'm wrong. I haven't played a lot of it, but
there are animations still used in Elden Ring that were in Dark Souls 1. Like the door opening animation when you're opening 2 doors. They look identical, and you can't tell me otherwise that they're not the exact same animation. So I get it. I do want to play Bloodborne at some point. I do enjoy the aesthetics of Bloodborne and the aesthetics of Sekiro a lot more than I do the, dreary, sad fantasy of Dark Souls.
Yeah, and I don't know, like, apparently there's a whole story behind the Dark Souls series. Like, there's like a plot, but I have no idea what the hell's going on. Like I said, I think I played all the way through 2. I played a little bit of 3, and then I think I've played some of 1, but it was like one of my friends in high school was playing it, and we would come watch him play, or sometimes I would play a little bit of it. So I've never like played it completely through. So I don't know. That's like, I don't know. It seems like it seems weird because I feel like the Dark Souls games are not like, I don't know. People don't like games without stories. I think there is a story, but it's super hidden. So it's like Dark Souls seems like a game no one, like true gamers, wouldn't like, but they love it. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, and I get that as far as there's no like straightforward narrative, but there is something in there. You just have to dig for it like you're an archaeologist. And some people are not down for that, and some people are like, yeah, that's how you should tell a true story. This story in the game is fantastic. I'm like, do you I don't know if you can definitively say that, because digging up the story is so much work that just because it's difficult to understand the story does not inherently make the story good.
Yeah, it's like people are like, I love the story. Like, I was like, oh, where did you find it in the game? It's like, no, I watched like a bunch of YouTube videos and read the wiki. I'm like, oh, so the game doesn't have a story because it would be in the game. You shouldn't have to read the wiki or watch some guy's YouTube video to understand what's happening. I don't know. It's probably fine, and I just not a big fan of it. So
yeah, but if you do want the story, there's a YouTube channel called Vati Video, that does do the story and like character breakdowns that are just really entertaining to watch. So if you want the story without actually playing the game, go check out that YouTube channel.
Yeah, for a while, like, I don't know, it might have been when like a little bit after like Bloodborne came out, I started watching a lot of videos about Dark Souls and stuff, some of the lore. But I was like, I don't know what the hell this guy is finding in any of this shit. If he's just like making stuff up via small context clues of like, oh, this painting on this wall has these 2 figures. Is that, I don't know, the king and his wife? And it's like, okay, I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, cool. All right. I don't know how to transition out of this. Is there anything else you want to say about Dark Souls before we move to something else? I don't know what. We did not prepare as well for this one.
We did not prepare as well, but I don't think I have anything extra to say about Dark Souls for now. I will obviously put updates in, but we'll also put the YouTube channel I recommended if you want Souls stories. I will put that in the description.
Neat.
I can transition if you want.
Yeah, sure.
I talked about Souls games. You know what you can't play Souls games on? A broken computer.
Oh. that was a great transition. I don't understand what's going on. This is just the final moments of this podcast. This is gonna be me ranting. okay, so first off, I have this laptop. I may or may not have dropped it in a parking lot. Whatever. All
That
right.
was left out of the story.
Whatever.
Okay.
Anyways, well, so that's not the computer that's even broken. The laptop, for some reason, the HDMI port doesn't work anymore, and I used the laptop as a way to steal my sister's Hulu Live so I can watch TV. And now I can't put it on my TV because because I can't use my HDMI cable. I have no idea why. I've like shined a flashlight in there. It doesn't look like any of the pins are broken, but for a while now, it has just been freezing, and like the screen will freeze, and then like in my headphones, if I'm listening, like have my headphones in, it just does this screechy noise. I'm like, my graphics card is not having a good time. So that maybe like my graphics card is fucked, and that's why my HDMI port won't work. Anyways, the other day, I have a new desktop computer that I spent like $1,500 on. Right, got all the RGB you could ever fucking dream of. So that way, it's a good computer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. If it doesn't have RGB, is it even a real?
Is it even a computer? Anyways, it has been doing the same fucking thing, and it's brand new, and the screen freezes, and it shrieks at me. I'm like, okay, cool. Graphics card's fucked. I've opened it up, made sure everything's plugged in okay. I'm like, fuck, I don't know what's happening. And then the other day, I go home, and I turn my computer on, and it's like, oh, we're doing updates. I'm like, whatever. This was Thursday. It has been trying to restart. It's just a black screen that says restarting after updates and a spinning circle for fucking 2 days. And every time I shut it off, I'll hold the power button, I'll unplug the back to do like a full cycle reset, and the fucker just won't turn on. And I don't want to deal with this, all right? I got it like 2 months ago. That's all I have to say. I just don't understand. What I had a desktop computer for like 10 years, and I fucking just pushed the power button on that motherfucker, and it turned on every goddamn time. It had like a 970. What the NVIDIA, the graphics card, and I would play modded Skyrim on that baby, and she would be hissing, smoke would be coming out of it, not literally, but sometimes it did, but it worked, goddammit. But now all these new computers, like, I just bought one. It's not even like I didn't get the parts. I said, hello, Best Buy, I would like to purchase your finest desktop computer Dora, and they sent it to me, and it's fucked. And am I going to call customer support? No, because I have autism and I don't want to talk to people on the phone. I don't know why that's so difficult. But yeah, that's what's going on now. So all I have is this laptop. Oh yeah, and then not because of that, but just I just want to show you what I sacrifice. What I sacrifice to do this podcast. I just sent you a text, and I can put this in the video. This is where I am recording this right now. I don't know if you have your phone handy.
I'm waiting for it to come through on my phone.
Okay. Yeah. So to describe to the audience, if I end up not saying, I'm currently sitting in my my closet, with my laptop on a dog kennel with my kitchen chair in here, where I'm just surrounded by just shit. Just a bunch of like empty aquariums, Pokemon cards, empty boxes, buckets, and I can barely shut the door. Like if I have to open the door, I have to lift the chair over my head and open and shut the door. So this is the type of things I do, the sacrifice I make to record this podcast, mostly because I have a fish tank and it's really loud, and this is the quietest place in my apartment. But yeah, this is the sacrifice. Did you see the video or the picture?
Yeah, the picture. Let me paint a very vivid image just in case you don't post this. Okay, So there's no room in this closet. He has a chair directly in front of the dog kennel, and over the dog kennel is a blanket. What kind of blanket is that? It's like a wolf blanket.
Yeah, it's deer on it and a wolf.
Yeah. So this is like your uncle's favorite blanket, And there are not one, but 2 buckets in the room.
There's 4 buckets, but you can't see all of them in the picture.
Oh, yes, I'm so sorry. I couldn't see the 2 invisible buckets. there are like storage bins. There's like a work glove on top of your what is that? Your modem
Oh
next
yeah,
to your next to
yeah,
your Rams hat.
yeah,
This picture is fantastic.
yeah. The Call of Duty pin. You can see the sheath of a Nerf sword, a handle of a Nerf sword in the background.
Oh,
Yeah, but this is because I was gonna just download Audacity on my desktop computer, sit at my nice desk at my desktop, and I would just unplug the filter for an hour on my fish tank so you wouldn't hear the water moving. The fish will be fine for an hour without a filter. But no, I can't even do that because it won't even fucking update. I can't use my $1,500 computer, so now I have to sit in a closet. But no, this dog kennel kind of worked out great. With a little blanket on it, put my microphone on it. It's great. But yeah, this is the life
cozy.
I live. First world problems. It's very warm in here.
oh yeah, I bet you get no airflow in there.
No, I'm just breathing recycled air. I'm gonna fucking pass out because of all the carbon dioxide from me just blabbing for an hour and a half.
Yeah, it checks out. To any listeners, this should technically be our sixth episode?
Yeah,
But Dalton's computer, the one from 2 months ago, said, "I've had enough of this world," and then it just took itself out.
yeah, it
So
killed itself.
there-
It was kind of fucked up. It was a big mess I had to clean up.
Yeah, it left a note and everything. Very unfortunate.
Yeah, but no,
So we
recorded,
lost, what was it, 4
2
episodes?
right? Well, so
2.
I think we had 2 practice. Oh, we've done like 6 practices over like the last 2 years, and then we had 2 that I was editing to actually put out. So the last episode, this episode should be episode 4, but this is episode 2. And honestly, I
course.
don't even remember what we talked about in those first ones, so it probably wasn't super important, was it?
I don't. If we weren't devastated that we lost that stuff, it must not have been that good. So,
Yeah.
but those will always be the lost episodes. So that'll be
Yeah.
fun.
I feel like we recorded one of the episodes in my previous apartment, and I've been living in this apartment for 2 years. So
Yeah, I feel like
This
that
is,
was because we
it's been a long
recorded
time
one in
coming.
person, right?
Yeah, we did. So
Yeah.
yeah,
One
and
of these episodes we'll record in person.
Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah, and then there's one more thing. This was something that blew my mind. So this weekend I'm going to a reptile expo. This is nerd adjacent. Reptiles are nerd adjacent.
Oh, absolutely. I don't know any
so-
sane person that owns reptiles.
That's fair. So yeah, we're going to this reptile expo. Me and my girlfriend both have like if this animal is there, we're gonna get it, no questions asked. Because we
All right,
have
what's on the
space
list?
for
What's
it.
on the list? That's what's
So-
important.
Mine is a Chinese cave gecko.
Oh, good choice.
And then hers is she's gonna hate me because I can never remember. It's like a desert hairy scorpion.
Desert hairy
So-
scorpion. Okay.
Anyways,
I have a primal fear of scorpions, and I don't know why.
that's this is like human nature to be afraid of things like that can kill you. It's like those cats that get afraid of cucumbers.
Yeah, that's my cucumber is a scorpion.
It's scorpions.
Yeah. So you
Yeah.
and I have to give some context to the listener. You and I have also been to reptile expos together, and I'm fine with snakes. I like snakes. I like lizards. I like turtles and tortoises. I like fish. I am fine around tarantulas. Like, I'm not a huge fan, but they don't freak me out. And there were tarantulas there. I did not know until I saw scorpions in real life that I was like, what the hell are these? Get them away from me. In a way where I was like, oh, they make me feel super uncomfortable. I don't know why. I've seen them in films, no issues. Seeing them in real life and them just like sitting idly
Existing.
until they
Yeah.
move. And I was like, oh, this is not for me. This is, miss me with this shit. I am not a fan of this.
Yeah. Well, my girlfriend has 2 scorpions. One of them is like the big 4 scorpions, and then another one's like a little tiny guy that if you like shine him with like a UV light, he glows. It's kind of cute.
Yeah, those look cool.
But yeah, so we're going to that this weekend. But the reason why I brought this up originally was the first reptile expo we went to, right? How long ago do you think that was?
That was, oh my god. Was it 2019?
Yes. So.
Oh my god.
That's what I was thinking, because I have a friend who lives in the town that the Red Pill EXO is, and he went with us that first time, I think.
Yes.
Okay, so I was like, oh, I'll be in town if you want to get lunch or something. And he's like, oh, is that the one that we went to years ago? And I'm like, years ago? It wasn't that long. And I was like, oh my, that was fucking almost, yeah, that was 2019. That was 5 years ago. And I was like, what the fuck happened? So.
Yeah.
I just wanted to bring that up because we're old. We're old men.
We sure are.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, that's all.
Would you like to go into our homework?
Yeah. So, did you end up getting something?
I'll make something up while you put yours down. Before going into that, the current plan for this podcast is that we have an episode out monthly. If it gets wildly popular, we might revisit that. But
it's not
as of right now,
wildly popular.
Yeah, I just in case.
Okay.
Maybe people. Maybe there's one person who absolutely adores this podcast and goes, "I need this to get more views, so that way, I get more of this." I think.
Fair.
I don't know. This podcast probably won't ever get big, but it's just a thing you and I are doing just for fun.
Yeah,
but if it happens to get,
I mean, it'd be fun if it
maybe,
happened.
Yeah, it'd be really fun because there aren't enough two white dudes
people
being stupid on the internet. But
there's no white people on the internet. It's crazy.
Yeah, isn't that? It's just so difficult being
being
the
a white man on the
species.
Internet. Yeah.
Life is just really hard for us.
Yeah, not to derail the ending, but I was signed in on my work computer, and I was like, I have to double check. Like I think I like watched the Right North of the Border video. Let me go look at the YouTube video and make sure that I got it, because he had like multiple things about sharks, and that was this morning. And I typed in the name of our channel, and it took me like 20 minutes to actually find it.
Oh, that's not good.
Like, I typed in who needs it, and I'm like, okay, scrolling down the videos, I was like, okay. So I had to like look by channel, and it like, we're on there if you look by channel, but it's like, man, if you just search it, I don't think you can even find it. So maybe I'll have to play around with some of the stuff on the back end with like the tags and stuff.
I think we should also work on our description.
Yeah, right now the other one's blank.
There's another one?
The first episode.
Blank.
Yeah. I never did it. Because I also gave you the wrong sign-in information. I'll give you the correct one later.
Okay, yeah, sounds good. I was like, I probably just typed it in wrong. I'll figure this out later.
So, yeah. But yeah, for homework for next week. So yeah, every episode, and by every episode, I mean these two that we've done so far, we give a recommendation of something to watch. So mine's a podcast channel, as you know, as people are already aware of. I just had a stroke there. Did you hear that?
Yeah,
that was crazy.
You were like aware.
I like Warhammer. So this is a podcast that I listen to called Adeptus Ridiculous. You don't have to watch the whole. I would just say like the first video on their channel, it gives like an overview of the Warhammer universe. It's probably like an hour and a half. You don't have to watch it all, because I know you're a very busy man. I guess, I don't know, are you allowed to listen to podcasts at work?
I am, as long as it's in one ear. Gotcha. And depending on what area I'm in, I'm allowed to. But yeah. I usually have a podcast playing. So seeing as you recommended a podcast, I will also recommend a podcast once I open my podcast app of choice.
Well, anyway, Adeptus Ridiculous is just a Warhammer podcast. It's like the premise is like one guy who knows a lot about Warhammer, the other guy doesn't, and they kind of just talk about different topics. And it like, yeah, they've done like hundreds and some episodes now. So if you're interested in a specific one, you can listen to those. And they're usually comedic, so maybe the lore isn't like perfectly accurate, but they describe it in a way where like you get the cliff notes, in like a funny way. So like when you explain it to other people, it's like, oh yeah, this guy just like kind of just fucking died. It's pretty crazy. And this guy like kind of want to bang this guy, but not really. And this guy has autism, but not really. So it's funnier that way.
Yeah, sounds good. I'm searching it up right now. I will. Yep, there sure is 100 episodes.
Jesus Christ. Are you searching up the podcast that you're trying to find?
Oh, I know which podcast I'm going to recommend.
Okay. Well, that's my whole spiel, so if you want to recommend yours. Jack Slack.
Yes. I know we haven't talked about too many sports yet. Sorry to
Oh, yeah, the Super Bowl. We missed the Super Bowl.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, not the Super Bowl.
Not the bowl that is the superest.
That's the soup of bowls.
So, I don't follow many sports. One of the only ones I do follow is MMA, and that is mainly the UFC, just because Monopoly is fun. But if
what do
you're
you mean?
looking,
There's Bellator in bare knuckle boxing. What do you mean? Oh, Power Slap. Oh, wait, that's owned by UFC.
that's Dana's little baby.
Wait, did he buy Bellator, or am I making that up?
No.
Okay.
World Series of Fighting and Bellator are now under the same umbrella.
That's what it is. Sorry.
Yeah.
Continue.
No, you're good. So if you want to hear technical talking about the techniques in MMA, this might not. If you're looking for technique breakdown, this is for you. If you're looking for someone who will do the technical breakdown and make really funny jokes about it, this is also for you. If you're not interested in MMA whatsoever, I don't know how you would get into this, but maybe give an episode a listen. They are real quick episodes, and he's a writer that breaks down techniques of MMA fighters and like what happened, what do certain fighters do, what their tells are, what their habits are in a fight, what could lead them into trouble, what could be something they'd want to work on, how their style matches up against others. And he also has a YouTube channel where he posts his podcast, but he also does they're called Filthy Casual Guides. So if you don't know much about martial arts, MMA specifically, and you want to see what a certain fighter does that is a key attribute to what their style is, he's who you'd want to watch. He has breakdowns of Jose Aldo, other Filthy Casual Guides. Some of them are about certain fighters and what techniques they do, and then some of them are about techniques that are popular. So that is my recommendation.
Nice.
Watch a Filthy Casuals guide if that's your stuff. He's got a lot more stuff out there. If not, it only took, I don't know how long are one of those episodes, maybe 10 minutes.
Yeah. Does he do fight breakdowns?
He talks about. He doesn't like do direct footage breakdowns, but he will do on his podcast. He will talk about, X fighter kept doing this, and that's what led them to trouble, or why fighter did this, and that's what was good for them. But he's quite funny, so he has a very good dry sense of humor. So if you're looking for that, that is a great podcast to listen to.
Nice. Yeah, I was just gonna say, because I probably won't spend money on the Volkanovski's fight tonight, so maybe I'll just watch his breakdown of it, or like if he has any episodes about Volkanovski, I might watch that. So, are you gonna pay $70 to watch the fight?
No, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Not.
Yeah, me either. Yeah. So cool. I think that's it. Do we have an outro, or do we just awkwardly just wait until I cut and then that's the end?